You're listening to
Path of the Jedi
with your host, Ronnie Cruz.
All right, welcome to Path of the Jedi, the podcast where Star Wars meets personal development. My name is Ronnie Cruz, your host for this gut-wrenching adventure. And it's gut-wrenching, well, at least it was for me, to watch and hear little Leia go through what she went through in this episode. And okay, so before I continue, again, as I've said, I think in the last handful of episodes, disclaimer, there will be spoilers in this in today's show. So if you haven't gotten caught up yet with Obi-Wan Kenobi, please go back and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. I would hate to be the reason why certain things were spoiled for you, for the show. So if you don't care, no big deal. Go ahead and keep listening. But if you're one of those that prefer to go into watching an episode without any expectations or knowledge of what's going to happen, go ahead and stop today's show. Stop the podcast. Go watch Obi-Wan Part 4 up to Part 4, and then come back and listen to Path of the Jedi. Also, too, well, no, I was gonna give you already another a slight spoiler, but I'll let you go ahead and watch that and experience that for yourself. So yeah, hit pause on the podcast and go watch Obi-Wan. Okay, so in case you can't hear, I am, again, recording outdoors. This time I've taken my operation, which just really is, again, my phone, my earbuds, and my camping chair. That's my recording studio right now. I've taken it back behind our garage, so I'm actually under the trees, closer to nature, closer to the woods than I usually am when I'm sitting on the porch. So yeah, it may make for some nice ambiance and background noise. The birds were singing pretty good earlier. I don't know if I'll be able to catch some of it, but yeah, they were at it. They were at it when I first came out here. So yeah. Okay, just to let you know, in case you hear some of that background noise, the occasional car that drives by on our road. That's not close, but again, it echoes. Everything echoes up the mountain. Yeah, really enjoying it. Super rainy today, and it cleared up about mid-afternoon, so I'm able to sit out here and enjoy the day. We'll see. I mean, the past episodes, it has actually started to storm as I've been recording, so we'll see what happens today. But as of right now, I'm out here under the trees, within nature, and listening to the beautiful sounds of the birds. And hopefully I can share that with you on today's episode as we talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, it was gut-wrenching for me to watch this episode because of everything that little Leia had to go through. Oh man, what a tough gig. She's definitely been dealt a difficult hand at this early in her life, right? And again, like, this is really, it just speaks to the ability of the writers, right? Like, kudos to the entire writing team for giving us Leia from this period in her life, and doing so in such a beautiful way, where they give us a Leia that we know, but also give us a Leia that we are continuing to discover, right? Obviously, this Princess Leia is a character that we've all known and lived with as far back as the original trilogy, and now to get new coloring and new just more and deeper understanding of who she is, while also still knowing what and who Leia is at her core, right? It's just amazing. It's just amazing, and again, a testament to the talent and the skill of the writing staff. It's just amazing what they've done, and also, of course, the actor that portrays Leia, that performs just amazingly, and I please forgive me, I don't have her name handy. I had yeah, sorry guys, I didn't do my due diligence and research for this episode, and I don't have internet out here where I'm sitting at the moment. So yeah, I just wanted to actually just get in here and really get into the meat and potatoes of recording. So I came a little less prepared than normal, but anyways, the actor that plays Leia, little Leia, she just does such an amazing job, given again the difficulty, I think, and the range that she has to play, as complex as a character as Leia is, right? To be able to pull that off at any age, but especially at her age, is quite remarkable. So I love it, and it is, again, for me, very, very gut wrenching to watch her go through what she went through in this particular episode. Of course, we know how it all ends, but seeing what makes Leia the Leia that we know. By the time we get to episode 4, A New Hope, it's just, yeah, some of it is for me tough to watch, but yeah, well, thankfully, she's tough as nails since day one, right? Willing to go up against an inquisitor, right? Like going toe to toe, not physically necessarily, but going toe to toe, and head to head with an inquisitor. Yeah, it speaks volumes. And again, from the writers to the performance of the actor that plays Leia, amazing job, top to bottom. Of course, there are so many other things to talk about in terms of things that I liked and enjoyed about the show. I mean, just from like surface level type things and little Easter eggs and nods to the rest of the Star Wars universe, things that tie in to other things that we may have seen in Star Wars in the past. There's so much richness to it. One of the things that really for me stood out was the planet. Well, it was. I guess it's a moon, but the ocean moon or the water planet where the Inquisitors are based on. Again, I forget the name of the actual planet or the moon, but it's a water moon. And the one place I've seen this location, the only other Star Wars media that I've seen this location in, and maybe it's just me. I mean, I might be behind. You guys might have seen it somewhere else, but for me, the one place I saw it was in a game, in the Star Wars Fallen Order video game, and so it was nice to see that little bit of crossover where like just the whole universe is all tied together, and again, it's part of the larger story team's ability to coordinate all these aspects of Star Wars, all these different media, these assets that they're releasing, from the books to the comic books to the video games to the shows to the movies. Everything all ties in cohesively to in one big universe, while being able to tell their individual stories, and also while giving nods and making references to each other. So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what these guys are able to do and coordinate. And so again, I don't know, some people complain about the Disney era of Star Wars. For me, I mean, more Star Wars is always good, right? Like, I can never get enough of this stuff, and I think they've done a masterful job thus far in handling the source material. Well, not just handling the source material, but expanding it to exponentially, really, at this point. So lots of great stuff here. Of course, seeing Obi-Wan in action is always fun. I mean, he's still kind of I feel like there's still a lot of rust in the old joints. So like he feels still a little stiff, but he's also, at the same time, I feel like he's getting back closer to the old Obi-Wan that we know, right? Like we see a lot of great Obi-Wan action and fighting. There's this one scene where he's actually rescuing Leia from the torture chamber, and the stormtroopers are standing around Leia, guarding her on, the torture device that she's strapped to. And then the lights all of a sudden go out. All you can see is the red light where Leia is. And in the darkness, you see the blue lightsaber ignite. So that for me was amazing. Just like a lightsaber igniting in the dark is already cool. But to see that, here we have Obi-Wan, who, again, one of my favorite Jedi, of all time, you start to come back to be his old self again. And we've already seen, the lightsaber in the dark situation. Darth Vader, we saw his red lightsaber ignite in the dark, which is all like it's such a cool image. Now we get to see it with Obi-Wan. We get the flip side of it, and yeah, he kicks ass and takes names. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Like just enjoyment. Fanboy squealing moments in this, right? Like it's so much good fun Star Wars on that level. And then again, of course, if you talk about the depth and the range that they're able to communicate and in the storytelling, it's just amazing. And today we're going to dive into that as we do every day, actually. But what we're going to talk about today is letting go, right? Just like Elsa, letting go. Before we dive into that, however, here's a quick message. Hey guys, real quick message here. I want to let you know that I absolutely love doing Path of the Jedi, and I love that this is a source of motivation and inspiration and learning and growth for you. I do also want to let you know that at some point, your personal development journey and your growth journey has to be self-directed. That's why I wanted to tell you today about Growth You. It's an amazing company, well, really more of a community. I decided to partner up with them and actually got certified as an advisor because it's based on science, right? It's psychological principles that will help you make lasting changes in your life. They have a program called Daily Growth that I encourage each and every one of you to at least consider taking a look at. With Daily Growth, you get a positive daily focus in all areas of your life, daily motivation and healthy accountability, simple and relevant lessons for your life, and an opportunity to feed your best self. And best of all, it's absolutely free. Just go to pathofthejedi.com/resources and click on Grow, and you can register for your own Daily Growth membership. Again, it's completely free, so you have nothing to lose. So if you're ready to live your best life, go to pathofthejedi.com/resources and click on Grow. Okay, so thank you for allowing me that. Let's dive right into today's episode. Well, we're already about 10 minutes in, but let's dive into the meat and potatoes of the theme that I wanted to cover today, and that is letting go, right? There was well, this applies to so many characters in this show in general, but especially in this particular episode, it applies to Obi-Wan and to Reva in a very, very important and big way because the things that they aren't willing to let go of are what have been holding them back. I mean, obviously, that's what letting go means, right? Because if you don't let go, you're going to be held back. This comes up with Obi-Wan in his conversation with Tala, and I think they were heading towards saving Leia or rescuing Leia, and Tala was telling Obi-Wan that, there's still some things that you still need to heal. Like he had gotten burned very badly in part 3, right? At the end of part 3, Darth Vader dragged is the right word. Sorry. Dragged him through open flames and a very, very big fire just as revenge, right? To make him, to give him a taste of his own medicine, so to speak, right? So that he knows and feels what Anakin went through when he was burnt alive. So Obi-Wan was burnt very badly at the end of part 3. And so in part 4, he was in treatment and, he wasn't fully recovered yet, but he was in a hurry. He was in a rush to go rescue Leia. Tala notices this, right? Like you're not completely healed yet. And Obi-Wan says, "No, it's fine. I'll be okay. Like I'm getting better." And then Tala responds with, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she says, "I'm not just talking about physically, right? I'm not just talking about your injuries to your body." And of course, she's alluding to, this burden that he's still carrying, right? This weight on his shoulders of all the things that happened in the past with Order 66 and whatever emotional trauma that he's held on to. And Tala is like, look, for you to move on and for you to be strong again, you got to let go of the past. And, for Obi-Wan, it's like, sometimes I don't want to, or maybe I can't, and like Tala again responds, you got to let go, right? You have to be willing to let go of that stuff, because you're never going to be able to move on, and you're never going to be able to heal fully. And she's absolutely right. I mean, like, Obi-Wan will never get back to his old self, or even a fraction of his old self, a shadow of his old self, if he doesn't let go of this heavy burden, this heavy weight that he's carrying on his shoulders, right? Like it's definitely affecting his connection with the Force, because he's cut himself off from the Force for so long. It's affected his physical ability, right? His and all that prowess that he used to have as a general, and serving the Jedi Order and serving the Republic, and in all the battles and the wars that he fought, right? Like, he has none of that, because he's being held back, and he's chained to all of these past traumas and whatever emotional baggage that he's holding on to. As I've said in the past, it's very, very natural, and I'm not trying to, diminish or blow off all the just traumatic things that he's been through in his life, as a result of Order 66, and during all that time. However, there is the reality that at some point he's got to let go of that if he wants to really be at full capacity to be able to not only rescue Leia, but to support Leia moving forward, and even to support Luke once all this is said and done, to support what he's doing over there in Tatooine. Like, he can't provide the things that he actually needs to provide by only being a shadow of himself, and he will continue to only be a shadow of himself if he continues to hold on to these things that he's holding on to, the things that he's letting weigh on his shoulders, because it anchors him to that past, and it informs and dictates his behaviors and his decision making, right? Again, if he wants to be at full capacity to what he was before, he's got to be willing to let go of all those things. However, letting go may not necessarily mean what you think it means, right? And I'll reference Frozen for this, right? That's the quintessential letting go theme, right? Elsa is singing this song about letting go of the things that are holding you back, and the song itself, if it was its own thing, separate from the movie, just as an individual unit, and the message alone, it's very empowering, right? Like, I love that song, and it's a hit for a very, very good reason, because it does have a very, very powerful and empowering message. However, taken in context with the entire rest of the movie of Frozen, what we actually see when Elsa sings that song is she's running away from the things that she actually has to face. She's not letting go necessarily. She's just running away, and she's not facing them. So like, letting go doesn't necessarily mean detaching, right? Because like, if you can't really let go of the past. The past has happened. It's there. You can't change it, right? You can't change the circumstances and the events that happened to you in the past. So you can't necessarily let go of those things, because it's always going to be in your memory, right? You went through it, and you will always have gone through it, right? Right, until we can figure out time travel and multiverses and things like that, and even then, it's a different version of you that went through something else differently. Sorry, complete tangent. But you can't let go in a sense of the past that we might think, right? Like, just letting go and forgetting it. It's not so much that, because again, the past is the past, and it happened. It's done. What we do is, if we've gone through particularly difficult past or past events in our life, and things that we need to let go of, we need to let go of not necessarily the events themselves, but the definitions and the narrative, right? The meanings that we're holding on to about those past events. Again, guys, tabula rasa, right? Blank slate. This is going to be a recurring theme on the show. It's not so much what happened to Obi-Wan, during Order 66 and that whole entire tragedy in his life, right? It wasn't so much what happened. It's the narrative and the meanings that he's holding on to outside, like regarding of what happened, right? Like, yes, he went through some difficult times. The Jedi Order was lost. He lost many friends. He lost many people that were dear to him, including his best friend's wife, who was also one of his best friends. Like, all this stuff happened. Like, his life was completely uprooted. And okay, so just as an aside, I realized this in watching this particular episode that, I think I was watching episode 3 when this popped in my head. I forget sometimes that all Jedi are also orphans, right? Except most of them grow up in a very healthy environment. They're displaced at a very young age. So like that to me, just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then to get the Jedi Order and that life stripped away from them quite suddenly, in a very, very violent way, during Order 66. I mean, it's like having the rug completely pulled under from you, completely unprepared and not knowing why any of that happened. So yes, again, understandable the trauma that Obi-Wan experienced, and also understandable why the narrative that he's created around that is the way it is. Yes, of course he's going to carry guilt. Of course he's going to carry that remorse. Of course he's going to carry all of that regret, right? Because, I mean, it's a natural reaction to all the stuff that happened. However, yeah, at some point, again, if you want to, only if you want to let go of those things, because who would want to live with that kind of burden on their shoulders, right? If you want to let go of those things, you have to rewrite that narrative, and we can do that, right? We have the ability to change that narrative around around our past events, right? Things that we've been through, and look at it from a different perspective, right? Because again, it's not so much what happened to us, but it's what we're telling ourselves about what happened to us, that affects us, right? That affects us in our present day, and to take that a step further, the story that we tell ourselves about our past events will affect us and our quality of our experience in the here and now. And so if we want to be able to kind of really let go of those things, we gotta change the story so that it doesn't weigh us down, right? So that story doesn't anchor us in a negative way, and then therefore affect us in the here and now in a negative way, right? There are very, very, and again, like, this is definitely easier said than done, but it's totally doable to reframe a past event or a memory that you might have in your life, reframe it in a way that it actually supports you as opposed to weighing you down, right? Like, it's easy to I think, well, we can hold on to those past traumas with a negative narrative, and if we hold on to those things, those narratives, for too long, it starts to feel like that's the only way it can be, right? Because we're so used to it, and changing that narrative can be difficult, because we've held on to that narrative for so long. But I'm telling you, it still really is possible. It still really is possible. I've been, parts of various groups and programs, personal development things and coaching things, where I've seen individuals reframe past traumatic events to support them in the present moment, right? So that number one, they're not as heavily weighed down in the present moment by these past memories and these past traumas, but also so that number two, they can move forward productively, right? That they can let go of these things that are weighing them down, these narratives that are weighing them down, these things that they've been telling themselves about those past traumas that weigh them down, right? So it's totally possible, and I've seen it done with some of the really, really very, very, very traumatic experiences. So Obi-Wan, I think, can do this and should do this, right? Like, again, he can't change the past. He can't change that Order 66 happened and that he lost his friend, and that the Jedi Order is gone and everything was destroyed and so many people died. He can't change that. He can change how he looks at it, right? He can change how he looks at it. And as soon as he changes how he looks at it, the thing itself will change. I forget what the saying is, right? Yeah, I think that's it, right? Change the way you look at the thing, and the thing will change, right? Right? Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, because, we can do that. Not only with things that are in our present moment, and objects that are in our present moment, and circumstances that are in our present moment, we could do that with stuff that's in our past as well. Again, we can't change the past, but we can change how we think about the past, right? And that ultimately is what affects our experience in the now and our experience moving forward. And so that's the way Obi-Wan needs to let go. He obviously can't let go of it because it already happened, but he can let go of how he's thinking about it, so that he can move forward to be what he needs to be for Leia right now, right? Now, moving on to Reva. Oh, I don't know if I can talk about this. No, I can't. Ha. This actually, we'll have to wait till the next episode. I was going to dive into a little backstory with Reva, but I'm an episode ahead. So this is only, yeah. Sorry, I had to take a pause there to think about it. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi, part 4, and that's where it ends. I had gotten ahead of myself. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Because this show. Okay, so this show, it ends on a lot of cliffhangers, and it just kind of goes like it's one long storyline. So I've had to really check myself in distinguishing between what happens in which episode, right? Because again, it's one long through story. So what I was about to get into with Reva actually doesn't happen until part 5. So we'll save it for then. Oh my gosh, there's your cliffhanger for you guys. There's your cliffhanger. Gosh, and it tied so well into today's theme. Fail, guys, fail. Yeah. I was so excited about this theme too, because it's an important one. I think we all hold on to, our past traumas and things that there are many things that all of us need to let go of. I want you guys, again, the most important thing to take away from today's show is you don't necessarily have to let go of the event itself or what happened, the circumstances. You don't have to let go of that. You can't change any of that, right? So to try to change that it's foolish, right? It's impossible. What we can change, again, and this is what Obi-Wan should and needs to change in order for him to move on, is he needs to change how he looks at things, right? He needs to change how he thinks about the stuff that happened in the past. He needs to change the narrative and the meanings, right? Go into and if you can, as much as possible. That tabula rasa, blank slate, is all about being as much as possible a neutral observer. And when you're a blank slate, and you can really work on practicing that with yourself and the things that have happened to you in your life in the past, then again, you're free to create any meaning that you want. Right? Detach yourself from the existing things that you know, or the existing meanings that you're holding on to. If you can, work on that. That way, it's ultimate freedom. Then you can rewrite whatever meanings that you want moving forward. That will help support you, right? So that's really the message for me. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Because again, it's an important one, and it's a practice that we can all do, no matter how big or small the past event is that you might be holding on to unconsciously, even. Be willing to let go of the story you're telling yourself about that past event, so that you can rewrite it, reframe it for yourself in a healthier way. That's all I'm trying to say here. I guess that's a long way around relatively simple point. I don't know if it's simple or not, but hopefully the journey that I took you on today was clear and explained it better, so that you guys can understand the process. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and shut up before I just talk myself into more and more circles. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really, really appreciate it. yeah, I should play. This is probably the time of the podcast where I should play the binary sunset. The because I didn't have a binary sunset moment in this episode. I was about to go into Riva, but it's completely not the time or place. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I do have some shout outs though, so give me just a second, and I'm going to go ahead and finish off this episode then with this week's shout out. This week's shout out goes to two individuals actually. The first one is user handle Turtle Down. That's right, Turtle Down. And the second one is Alpha Gemalekwa, I think. And I apologize, Alpha, if I completely mangled your handle. So these are two individuals who were so kind to leave us not just a rating but a review on Apple Podcasts. I apologize, I didn't see you guys sooner. I don't check those often. I don't check ratings and reviews. I don't really check numbers and things like that often either. But I just happened to be, it popped in my head. Let me check it. I haven't looked at it in months, and I got two new reviews. So I really appreciate you guys doing this. The reviews were amazing, and I'm so glad. For me, like it's just it's validation that I'm on the right path, right? Like it's all about path. Which, by the way, path. I don't know if you guys caught that on Obi-Wan Kenobi, the path, right? The path is how they help Jedi escape. That's what they call it, the path of the Jedi. Anyways, sorry to interrupt the shout out. No, I wanted to give a shout out to Alpha and to Turtle Down, just for taking the time to leave me a review, and a very, very glowing, positive review at that. I'm so glad you guys found the show. I appreciate the feedback. Again, it just lets me know that I'm on the right track, right? It lets me know that what I'm doing here on the show, what we're doing at Path of the Jedi, is making a difference in people's lives, even if it's just a little bit of difference every day, right? Like if you're able to, the 15 to 20 to 30 minutes every week that you tune into us here at Path of the Jedi, if it makes just that little bit of a difference in your life, that means the absolute world to me, and it's incredibly rewarding and honor. It's humbling, and it's such an incredible honor to hear these positive reviews from you guys. So yeah, I really appreciate it, and I will continue to work to, again, I think I've said this in the past, but yeah, to do better and to continue to provide you guys with a perspective that hopefully gets you helps you through whatever it is that you're going through, and supports you through your week, right? So Alpha and Turtle Down, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules to do something, honestly, that a lot of people aren't willing to do. Like, people are willing to leave a bad review at the drop of a dime. At the drop of a dime? I think I got this wrong last time. A drop of a hat? No matter what, like negative reviews, people are all about it, but to leave positive reviews is really just amazing, and so I thank you guys for doing that. It's incredibly humbling, and I love it. It's a great reminder of why I do what I do here at Path of the Jedi. So thank you guys for doing that. Alpha and Turtle Down, this week's shout out goes to you. As a reminder, if you guys had anybody that you wanted to give a shout out to here on the show, please let me know. Again, I love doing this. I love recognizing people, even if, I've given shout outs to people who probably never will hear it, but I just love to do it, right? I love to celebrate people. I would love to help you celebrate people. If there's somebody in your life that you want to recognize, you want to shine some light on, that you want them to hear them celebrated on the show, please send us a message. Send us a message to info@pathofthejedi.com with shout out in the subject heading, and write whatever message that you want them to hear in the email, or you can even record an MP3 and send it over, and I'll play it on the show here, right? Again, we live in a time and in a world that I think needs more of that, right? We need to lift lift each other up more, because there's a lot of tearing each other down that's happening right now. So let's lift each other up. Let me help you lift each other up in these shout outs. So again, if you have somebody that you'd like to give a shout out to on the show, go ahead and send me an email to info@pathofthejedi.com with shout out in the subject heading. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, for continuing to listen, even for continuing to spread the word if you guys are going to spread the word, or if you have already spread the word about Path of the Jedi. I really, really appreciate it. This is very, again, grassroots, bootstrap. It's not super fancy. I'm on a phone with my headphones recording this on a camping chair. So like the support that I get from you guys is incredible. So please, by all means, pass it on if you feel so inclined. But other than that, just thank you for everything that you guys do and for continuing to listen. We will catch you next week with a fresh new episode, and I will pick back up with Riva and how she ties into what the theme that we were talking about in today's show. But we'll have to save that for next week. So until then, everybody be well, be safe, and may the Force be with you.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company nor Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is intellectual property of Path of the Jedi unless otherwise indicated.